we got to take a look at this. This goes way beyond gaming because we are getting something that is way worse than Sweet Baby Inc. And I don't think they can be stopped. We got to take a look at this and talk about this a little bit because this is starting to be a bit crazy.
Guys, Rick here. So over the past couple of weeks, we've talked a lot about DEI initiatives and how they have been weaponized to introduce woke nonsense into the video game industry. We've talked a lot about Sweet Baby Inc. This is a consulting firm that uses DEI principles and uses that as a vehicle to inject woke nonsense into many different titles. And we have seen the disastrous results of what they have done and the games that they have ruined, not to mention the absolutely toxic attitude that has been fostered by these programs, where you have many developers and alike who are going around openly expressing their hatred of gamers, of white people, and of men, and many other groups.
It is the weirdest thing ever. Like, these people are openly racist, openly hateful on the internet. And then they are working with these companies and gaming companies. And again, the gaming companies are seeking them out to follow a checklist to make their game as bland as possible, to follow the so-called woke agenda. And they are standing for diversity and things to not be racist at all. But whenever you look behind the cupboard and you see the people working there, they're all clearly racist. It's so weird.
Now, we've seen other companies and agencies as well come to the defense of Sweet Baby Inc. and those like them, trying to back up their message, whether it's through financial funding or through protecting them through other avenues.
Government of Canada, what is Canada doing? Why is Canada lost their mind? Government of Canada is supporting Sweet Baby Inc. Is this who I think it is?
News. Now, what if I told you that there is a threat out there, a DEI powered one, that dwarfs the influence, the potential influence of groups like Sweet Baby? What if I told you there is a group out there, an initiative that wants to integrate these DEI principles into every single facet of your life? Well, this is a reality thanks to the initiative Bridge. This is a group that we're going to be talking about a lot today. So think of them as Sweet Baby Inc. on steroids. They not only want to integrate DEI policies into the games that you play, they want to integrate this into your daily job. They want to integrate this into every form of entertainment available to you. They want to integrate this into the way that products are marketed and sold to you. According to their CEO, this is a direct quote, they want to integrate all these policies to the point where it is in your DNA to act a certain way. And even those who resist these policies and initiatives, they will be bombarded with this stuff until they have to accept it because it's a part of every facet of their life.
I think that in a way, we are seeing kind of a recession. We're seeing a backlash of all of this kind of mindset. And we're progressively getting worse and backpedaling a lot because we're forcing things like this onto people. Normal people look at a human and they're like, they're a human. But crazy people look at a human and think to themselves, race, skin, beauty standard, gender, blah, 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 labeling them for every sort of market. And whenever everything within advertisement, film, and video games are following the same checklist to create the same narrative, the same story, the same cost, the same of everything, there will never be a form of creativity ever published. And if you're trying to shove something like that and it's being brought to the attention of everyone, which is kind of at the moment, everyone is sort of seeing this. They know they know what is going on. And even time when things are not going on, they'll think that they know what was going on. Everybody love to use the word woke in this sort of regard. And we're starting to see more people actually go against it and turn even wild because of how much it's shoved in people's mouth. I feel like this only will create negativity, and it will do way more harm to everyone as a society in itself than do good for anyone. I think that a lot of this also forgets that there's an entire world out there. There's an entire world, minority and not, it depends on your location. And just generally, I think that the focus these companies have are completely on the worst way possible. I think they should more like focus on the well-being of everyone instead of thinking that there's like thinking the way they're doing now.
Yes, this should be very concerning to you. Now, how do we not know about Bridge? I would probably assume a lot of people watching this video have never heard of this initiative. Well, that's probably intentional. A lot of these groups like to stay underground and do their work behind the scenes so people can't call out what they're doing. So we have to thank people like Kirsha, who have been in the trenches fighting against groups like this, and has been the main person responsible for bringing attention to Bridge. And she has asked other people to share the message, and I am very glad to do that today. So for context, before we watch a short clip from her, basically we have this clip here from Tim Pool that she's reacting to, where he is showing that people like Charlemagne are trashing DEI initiatives. And he claims in this video that this is basically a big victory, that DEI initiatives are dying. We've seen that across the video game industry. However, as Kirsha will point out, this is not the end of the war. This is simply a battle where, yes, there are some major steps being taken against some of these original DEI initiatives. However, a lot of these initiatives have simply rebranded into something much more nefarious with global intentions. Let's listen to Kirsha real quick talk about the depths of which groups like Bridge hope to go.
The website I have in front of me now is the initial Bridge 1.0 initiative. Bridge was set up as a DEI monitoring system. They were responsible for seeing how well DEI was working, and after years of having DEI as hiring practices or as marketing techniques, they even agreed with what Charlemagne in your video said, and many others still say today. No one likes going to the diversity meetings. No one likes having to listen to any of these. They just do it to check a box. And
they do to check a box, and I'm gonna be real, I don't think a lot of people likes to go to meetings regardless, okay? So even if it's diversity or what, they just don't like to go to meetings. They don't want to do, they want to do their job and go home. But anyways, this is clearly just to check a box. Why do we need these things? There is zero need for them. They are just creating a fictional problem. And whoever thought about this like has caused so much issues for so long, because this is not going away.
Is making it so it's no longer just checking the box. You will
Does she
be
have
doing
2 ears?
the work. They're going to be making DEI a tenant, a part of the job for every employee. Are you a programmer? Are you a 3D designer? Are you a cashier? Are you some sort of shelf stocking worker? This is going to be part of your job as well. Unfortunately, they want to make it the fabric of the company, and they want to even change consumer opinion.
But they won't change my opinion, Kirsha.
It doesn't matter if they actually change the way you specifically as an individual think. You will have no escape. You will have no entertainment that isn't touched by DEI. You will have no company with which to buy your products from that isn't touched by DEI. And it doesn't matter if they don't actually change your mind if you cannot escape it and you cannot give alternative people money. Bridge 2.0 is the operationalization of DEI to be part of product framework, company DNA, and consumer transformation.
Obviously, that's some pretty concerning stuff and far-reaching stuff as well. But to understand Bridge, let's understand some of the major players behind them. So we're going to begin with social impact. You can see this is another DEI-powered initiative here, and you can see from their official Twitter account, they have barely any followers, and that is very common with all of these initiatives, okay? They always have a very, very small social media presence because they don't want you to know about them. They basically check the boxes here and have their social media account, their handle, just so they can have it, and they don't really engage with anything publicly. They do a lot of this stuff behind the scenes as they work with various companies and
I wonder why they're trying to be that sneaky. I wonder why. Pushing their own worldview into other people's throats, but they're clearly not proud of it.
agencies. Now you go to their website, you can see they're a consulting firm, but on a global scale. Again, think Sweet Baby on a global scale. Now you can see some of their clients, some pretty concerning names, like the United States Department of States, or the MasterCard Foundation. You want to talk about some powerful groups? Talk about the MasterCard Foundation, because if someone working for them wakes up and feels like taking down an entire art platform, for example, because they don't like some of the art featured there, they can do that by pulling out or threatening to pull out their services as a payment processor. They are extremely powerful, and these are clients of groups like this. Now, if you search on their website, you'll also see a tab for Bridge. Now, what is Bridge? Well, we've been talking about them benchmarking race, inclusion, and diversity in global engagement. And like all of these other initiatives, they mask themselves as this sort of,
I feel like this has no place for a bank. Like, why would a bank think about this? Like, what kind of association would this have to do with a bank, right? Like, banks are the most monopoly evil thing that ever exists, and all they give a shit about is money. If I want to take money out, I don't think it should matter in any sort of regard of like what kind of like how you look or anything. Like, this is weird. Like, what? I don't get it, man.
Diversity promoting initiative, but it's a lot more
Bridge, because they want us to jump off it.
They use that to inject whatever narrative that they want. It goes way beyond what they initially claim. And you can see that they've had some testing. They actually released Bridge 1.0, the beta patch, I guess, back in 2021, where they went around to different sectors to collect data and use some of this data to eventually mold some of their attack plans for.
And this is what I hate about this, because this, like, what happened to people just being eligible for the job? You know, people that have put a lot of effort into getting a promotion. What happened to that? Why do we have to focus on all of this shit when it doesn't matter? I heard like from some guy recently, actually, a story about him losing his he lost a job to a promotion to a co-worker that does barely anything like the amount of job work he does. But she is I think she was from some country, and she's a mom. She's and that's why she got the job, because of diversity quota. And he lives in Canada. And I was like, is that really how it works in Canada? And he said, apparently not. Yes, it is. There's a lot of it. And I think that's a bigger of an issue. I feel like people don't get promoted anymore for their own skills or effort. It looks like a lot of people get like jobs and promotion depending on their gender, the way they look, and where they're from. And that's really weird. I can get it in some scenarios, like if it matters, you know, if the job matters in that regard, but often it doesn't.
DEI on a massive global scale. However, they ran into a problem when they looked back at all the data.
They do.
People weren't performing the way they liked. So basically, weird. As this article points out, the CEO and founder of Bridge was a bit disappointed, because they found that a lot of these companies were doing these DEI initiatives. What they were doing was actually following through, but they were only doing it because it seems like they felt like they had to, right? They were just checking a box, and they were doing something to make these people happy, and they thought it'd be good for their business. So
why?
As they point out, as soon as Pride Month rolls around, they put the Pride logos in their banners on social media. They do all that stuff, or they add the pronouns to their bios. They do things like that because they believe it's good for their business. They don't actually believe in a lot of this stuff, but they just do it to check a box, which is obviously quite disingenuous. But when the CEO and founder of Bridge discovered this, she has a solution. She wants to bombard these companies on a lifestyle type scale, to the point where they start actually believing in these initiatives, where they can't do anything else but accept it, because it's in every facet of their life. Even if they don't like it, eventually they'll be worn down to accept it. And that is the CEO right here. And now we're going to watch a quick clip of some of her attitudes towards DEI and how far she wants this to go on an industry and a lifestyle scale.
That bridge is an acronym for belonging, representation, inclusion, diversity. The G is the gap in all of those things, and then the E is equity. And our mission is really about moving the narrative of DE&I away from philosophy to operationalizing inclusion as a business practice. Our goal is really about operationalizing inclusion, as I said, as a business practice, not a philosophy anymore.
Yeah.
And, to your point, Sasha, what that does is it removes the dependency of DE&I from an individual personal function, and it places it squarely on everyone in the organization, right?
Now that goal of
Bro, that sounds like a lot of yapping to me. What is that?
integrating these DEI initiatives into every facet of your industry and your business, and basically into every aspect of your lifestyle is reflected on their website. You can see that the Bridge mission is created to make a cultural shift in companies where DEI principles flow through all facets of an organization, from the C-suite and marketing through product development, procurement, and customer service. If you didn't really understand what they're saying here, that is basically every facet of every company that exists, including the way that products are marketed and how they are sold to you, which means everything from the games you buy to the media you consume to even the shelf products that you consume will be marketed and sold to you according to these DEI principles that'll be intertwined into every facet of the organizations that are making them. Yeah.
And you can kind of see that that's been happening recently. Recently, last years. You've seen this kind of like narration being like shoved everywhere into gaming, advertisement, product placements, and like movies. You see that in music, you see that with everything, everywhere. Companies that have nothing to do with this still goes on with it. If you work at a tech company nowadays, you will probably be shoved this into your face. Something like this in similar manner. Just that it's focused on their like target adjustments, These things are everywhere now, and they're becoming more and more common. But you're also seeing that, I think that this year and the end of last year, or around last year, was the time when people were starting to push that back a lot. I think this is a new way for companies to bleed and lose money, because consumers are starting to look into it, workers starting to look into it, they're hiring the wrong people at the jobs, and it's just becoming more and more of an issue just generally for the long run. And do you think companies care about this at all? Do you think they care about all of these views and all that the bridge stands for? Probably not. I don't think they care about that at all. All they care about is money. They want money. So as soon as the consumer says, fuck you, and the consumer says, I'm out, they're probably going to be, wait a moment. Let's fix this up. And you're seeing with a couple of things here and there that companies and games and stuff like that, etc., everything. It's like, this is everywhere. So you see that you're starting to see some people are kind of backpedaling on this and changing things. I think Sony's CEO said something about there's not going to be any censorship with Stellar Blade or anything focused like this, because they know now that they try to focus on these kind of things in their products and their studios and their games. And Sony is big. It's not about just games. It's about a lot of things, right? Music, movies, and stuff like that. They realize they're losing money on it. So they're not going to continue on with this kind of trend. They're not going to continue on this kind of focus just to please investors. Investor might invest into the product, but if the product fails in the consumer's eye and not really being sold or bought in anywhere, that investor money is just good as gone. If you want to work in the sense of just getting an investor and bing, bam, boom, I'm out of here. I have my money. I made the product. I'm out. That's fine. But that's not really a working flow for a company like the bigger companies that are trying to have a little longer lifespan. So essentially, we're starting to see now that people are backpedaling on this and really not going forward with these trends, because everyone has had enough. Everyone's done with this shit, man.
Yes, pretty ambitious stuff.
Disney tried to do that. Disney been trying for ages.
And this is right on their website.
They're backpedaling too.
This is their business plan, their attack here to integrate all these things. It looks like a bunch of gobbledygook. When you need about 50 different bullet points in your little circle here to explain how this is going to work, you know you're dealing with something pretty nefarious and weird. And it gets even weirder when you look at some of the people involved, way beyond just the average academics. We have people from major companies like Sephora or Campbell's for some reason, and all these other companies and very important and powerful people who are a part of this. And just listen to some of their views of DEI initiatives and how they want to get it to the point where these initiatives are part of your DNA.
And so one of the things that we're noticing,
I have like a wild thought, because I'm like thinking, I have a theory here right now. I just thought about it, because I don't think most of the people here are dumb. I think maybe some of them are dumb. I don't know. Like, I think a lot of people in this, whenever you look at this list, I think a lot of these people are probably super smart. They know what they're doing. I think they're probably geniuses in marketing and everything. They probably know extremely what they're doing, right? And I have a feeling that they're creating a rule set and entitlement and things that they need to have on a checklist, confirmed by them, to have a monopoly on all kind of sales or advertisements. I feel like they are creating an issue just to be the upfront of who people need to talk to, who companies need to talk to even get into the market. And I feel like that is their goal. They're creating this, it seems like to me, they're kind of creating this situation that shouldn't really be a situation. It's like a made up idea, right? It's like a made up problem. And they're kind of feeding that into them like it is a problem, that they need to focus on this. There isn't an idea that needs work on, because like, I think that whenever people fake a sale, I think that is when you're a good salesman, right? If you can make someone believe that they really require this, they really need this. It seems to me that this company right here has the money, has the people, and has an idea of creating a new problem that doesn't exist and shove it into companies and shove it everywhere in the media, so that it makes sure that everyone has to follow the checklist that they are putting out. Because remember, this is not a checklist that they need to just do for themselves and blah, blah, blah. It's a checklist that they have to go through them.
These initiatives are part of your DNA.
and so one of the things that we're noticing right now is so many organizations are letting go or cutting back the resources or funds to their diversity and inclusion offices, their chief diversity officers, etc. And people are just like, okay, so if that's gone, what else do we do? And it's like, it should be part of your DNA. It should be part of your everyday operations, regardless of which department you're a part of. And it goes beyond your employees.
That's
Like,
right.
how is it impacting the industry that you're a part of? How is it impacting your customers and clients? You know, all of those things. And so, like I said, you're speaking my language.
So I think after going through this video and seeing some of the evidence about this bridge initiative, you can understand how this stuff is actually pretty spooky and how this stuff can really have a big impact beyond just video games, but to a point where this is an attack on your lifestyle. They want to have control of basically every facet of your life. That should be concerning to you. Now, as Kirsha points out here in response to this tweet right here, basically this idea of I'm just a single person, what can I do, is a bit of a disappointing notion. I understand that right now a lot of people are discouraged with the current state of affairs, especially if you look around the gaming industry, for example. Yes, people are fighting hard against these DEI initiatives and Sweet Baby Inc. and alike, but it seems like when you cut off one head, two pop up in its place. But that shouldn't discourage you. You are making progress. People are making progress in this situation. It's important not to be black-pilled or discouraged by these things because it's hard. It's going to be hard work. But oftentimes it can be one person who can make a difference, or one reshare, one retweet, whatever. And in this case,
Not gaming is better than ever. I think gaming is better than ever. I think gaming is 100% better than ever, because they are progressively now pushing away from this. And you can see the death of, not really death, but you can see that there's a bit of a fall for AAA games, because they're always following this checklist. and publishing games that have no soul to them. They're just boring, and indie studios are just coming with their own view. They do whatever they want, and they're releasing absolute bangers. And gaming has done wonders. And you see game like companies like Capcom and stuff like that are also like, they're doing great as well. They overall, I think that people are creating their own narratives nowadays again, and they're trying to be their own creative vision in every way. I feel like things are going great now. I think games that are out now are great. I think the companies are kind of having the straight focus, because like AAA games nowadays have been looked upon as a very big scam, and there's been so much good out. I think it's good. I feel like we're not being forced this nonsense all the time anymore. Obviously, if you look at Blizzard, it's Blizzard. And if you look at most AAA studios, they're still them. It hasn't changed yet, but it's changing with time.
I mean, there's multiple people
Pokemon
involved with
plus
calling out
slavery,
Bridge,
that
but
is invention.
Kirsch's been pushing this hard, and she's
The
been
greatest
one
game
person
this year.
who's making a big
Not
impact.
really, but it's a good one. I love that. I love Power Word.
Shining a light on
You
these
play that
people and what
against
they're
him.
trying to do. And you think about the Sweet Baby Inc. situation. You
Everything
had a lot
but
of people
AAA
calling
gaming
out
is better.
Sweet Baby Inc., but all it took was one person, Kaburus,
Yeah, I guess so.
making a Steam
Capcom always is
curation
good.
group, and all of a sudden now we have all of these conversations over the past month or so, and we've had a huge spotlight shining on the gaming industry and exposing tons of bad actors in that sphere. So now we have a much more...
That is because people are tired of this. People are so tired of it, and we've had fresh air. We forgot how to breathe for a while. People forgot how to breathe, and it's like up in the public, and they're like, wait a minute. I love breathing. I love this shit. So whenever they get that stuff that are telling them why they cannot breathe, and people are still trying to shove that, they are completely relentless to push that back. People have had enough. And that's why people also, you saw Helldivers like, no politics in our game. They banned both sides. They're like, screw this shit. We don't give a fuck. Same with the people that made Power Word. They're like, fuck this shit. We don't give a fuck. And everybody loves it. And everybody's supporting them, because they are not shoving random ideas into people's brain. They're just doing silly stuff and making good games. And that's all that is about. I've always said this before. Video games is only about pushing you, the player, into a different world. It's about having a break, having some fun, just being in a different universe. Just don't think about real life problems and politics. And even if a video game can be influenced by politics, I think it's very tiresome, and to always be pushed out of your investment into a universe or into a game, and being sent back to reality, because people have such a view of putting all of these checklists into their games. And finally, we're seeing that these things are going away.
Clear identification of all the problems that exist in the gaming industry, and that was helped largely by one person making a effort like creating the Steam curation list. And of course, you should do your part, and even sharing things is very important.
Do your
sharing this
part.
video, sharing the message, and getting to bigger and bigger people. And that's something that Kirsch has been trying to do, trying to get more people to talk about this situation. And I think, it starts with people spreading the message. And, there's people out there way bigger than my channel, but I'm glad to help. And maybe this trickles up and goes to more people, because companies and initiatives like Bridge are very concerning, and they are intentionally working behind the scenes to avoid being seen. They want to put all these things into motion before you even have a chance to react.
I think these topics now are spreading like wildfire. So there's like, so the fact that Rev is like constantly talking about this, and other channels are constantly talking about it. I'm talking about it, nowhere near to like reach, but like overall, just the fact that a lot of people are talking about these things are really good. And I hope they continue, because it does spread and it does wonders.
That's what they want to do, because they know a lot of reasonable people don't like their initiative. They don't like how far this all goes and the attitude of the people that are running this initiative. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys listening to this one. It was a very important video, I think. And yeah, as always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. and I'll see you guys next time.
What is this title? What is this title right here? Yeah, you're a fascist in Helldiver too, but it's also intentionally over the top that it's impossible not to smile. IGN has done wonders. Stop doing this, IGN. Stop. Stop. Too much. They gotta stop, man. This is atrocious. Jesus. I can't see the comments, but Jesus. Oh my god.